Have you ever wondered if your mind is separate from your body? The answer to this question is one of the greatest discoveries humanity could make, and this video will show you why, even with today's technology, we still do not know where your consciousness is really hidden. You must be thinking, this seems too philosophical, but science already has all the answers. The truth is that the greatest experts in the world are still stuck facing the hard problem of consciousness. The debate about the mind has never been so urgent as neuroscience and technology force us to define consciousness to create artificial intelligences and treat brain diseases. If you want to fully understand the historical and scientific confusion behind this, from Plato's ideas to the discoveries of electricity in the brain, I am going to simplify the entire struggle between dualism and monism for you. Go ahead and leave a comment. What do you think that voice in your head is? Is it your soul or just chemical and biological connections in your body? Comment now. Just a reminder, everyone, if you like our project, besides your opinion, leave a like now so you don't forget. This really helps this project keep bringing videos to you. Thank you. Let's get to the facts. Think about your body. You are made of flesh. You know you have arms and legs because you can touch them and feel them. Now think about your thoughts. You know they are in your head, but unlike your arms, you cannot touch them. This leads us to believe that we are made of two different things: a body, physical, which can be touched, and a mind, what thinks. It is one of the biggest questions in history. Is the mind a totally separate thing from the body? If our body is made of atoms, what are our thoughts made of? This question is more than 2,000 years old. Over time, two major ideas have emerged to try to answer it. The first is dualism, the idea of two things. Dualism states that the mind and the body are two separate things. This idea began with philosophers like Plato in ancient Greece. He said that the world we see and touch was just a copy of a world of ideas that only the mind could reach. Later, in the Middle Ages, St. Augustine mixed this with religion, saying that the human being was a body of the earthly plane and a soul of a spiritual dimension. For him, the soul was superior and the body could not affect it. The most famous defender of this idea is the philosopher René Descartes with the phrase, "I think, therefore I am." He was a turning point in this debate. Descartes divided reality into two parts: extended substance, everything that occupies space like your body, and thinking substance, everything that thinks, has consciousness, but does not occupy space. For those living in his time, the 17th century, this made sense. The leg and the thought exist, but one thing is material, can be touched, and the other is not. The main problem with dualism is, if the mind and body are separate things, how do they communicate? If someone kicks your leg, body, your mind feels the pain. How do the mind and body exchange information if they are not the same thing? This mystery was named the problem of interaction. Descartes suggested that this exchange happened in the pineal gland, in the brain, but no one was able to prove this scientifically. The second major idea is monism, the idea of the single thing. Monism argues that the mind is just a part of what is generated by the body's matter. Simply put, the same thing that forms your body forms your mind. The problem for monism is no longer connecting two separate things but understanding the mind-brain unity. This view gained a lot of strength at the end of the 19th century when science began to look closely at the brain. Researchers noted that there was electricity on the surface of animals' brains. The scientist Richard Caton in 1875 noticed that this electricity changed when the animals were awake or sleeping. This showed that the brain is very active, processing information all the time. The great proof came in 1929 with the electroencephalogram EEG, invented by Hans Berger. This revolutionary device allowed the measurement of the electrical activity of the brain without needing surgery. With the electroencephalogram, we discovered that the brain produces electricity in the form of waves. These brain waves change as we change states. When we are alert, the waves are fast and irregular. When we sleep, they become slow and large. The electroencephalogram helped map that when we do complex things, like remembering something or feeling an emotion, specific areas of the brain are activated. With all this technology, it became very difficult for the idea that the mind is something completely independent of the brain to survive. The brain, which is matter, seems to be doing all the work. The question, where is consciousness located, is still in the air. Science has a basis that links the brain's electricity to mental states, but the complication is another. If for dualism, the problem was communication, for monism, the challenge is, how does the matter of the brain create the experience of having consciousness? Before finding consciousness, we have to know what it is. Think like this. You know you are reading this text. This is knowledge. But you know that you are reading it. This is consciousness, the ability to reflect. Consciousness is your ability to think and reflect on yourself. Take this example. If you touch something hot, your hand moves away automatically even before you have time to think. This is a reflex of the body. The hand knows to move away on its own, but it does not have consciousness of this. It doesn't think, it just reacts. That's why we know consciousness is probably not in your hand. Is consciousness in the brain? Yes, in part. The electroencephalogram shows that when you remember something or feel something strongly, areas of your brain light up. There seems to be a clear link between what happens in your body and what you feel. The philosopher David Chalmers' Source, an important book he wrote in 1996, explains that linking the brain's electricity to behavior is the easy problem. What is really complicated is the hard problem, explaining how this electricity creates your personal experience. We are not just a collection of reflexes that react automatically. We need to know how the physical processes of the brain generate the unique experience of, for example, feeling great anger or great cold. This difficulty focuses on our unique sensations that come from consciousness called qualia. Qualia is the feeling that only you have when listening to a specific song or smelling a specific food. It is the content of your memory that is personal. The memory of a moment with your friends from school is yours and no one else's, because only you lived it that way. The hard problem is precisely translating the brain's physical experiences into qualia and vice versa. If we could do this, we would know exactly where consciousness is located. And where are these qualia? That is the million-dollar question. The philosopher David Chalmers bets on panpsychism. This theory says that everything, even the most basic things, has a little bit of consciousness. For him, consciousness would be like a new force of nature, like gravity, made of atoms, but that affects matter. Other scientists believe that consciousness is not made of matter, but of energy, an electromagnetic field generated by brainwaves. There are those who believe that consciousness is a unified experience that happens because many different parts of the brain are interacting at the same time. What all these theories have in common is that none of them have been able to prove they are right. Even though science already knows a lot about how the brain works, our subjectivity, the unique way each person feels things, remains a wall we cannot get past. The cool thing about all this is thinking that perhaps this is one of those rare questions that has no answer, because it is in an area that science perhaps may never be able to fully investigate. Everyone, don't forget the question from the beginning of the video. What do you think that voice in your head is? Is it your soul or just chemical and biological connections in your body? Comment now. Besides that, do you think one day we will understand everything about consciousness? This video doesn't end now. It continues with us chatting in the comments. If you find this video interesting, I invite you to become a channel member and like this video. Here above on the right side, I will leave a video suggestion for you to continue with me.